Hey all, this is your chance to catch up on the worship and the teaching from the live session. If you missed it, Lucas will be sharing from Acts chapter 12. I hope that you enjoy. Do get in contact if you guys need anything. I look forward to seeing you on the Zoom groups this week. Bless you all, guys. Bye.
So for the last few weeks, we've been looking at the lives of the very first Christians. And this week we've got to Acts chapter 12, which is a rather eventful time for all of them. We see someone called James, one of the Christians, being put to death with the sword. I'm assuming they probably removed his head. I don't know what tended to be the most popular death methods with the sword in those days. Perhaps Jeff can clarify that for us. But yeah, he died. And then there was also Peter, who found himself in prison. And it wasn't just any prison. King Herod put him there, not the same as the baby Jesus Herod, different Herod, but every bit as bad Herod. And he wants to make a real scene out of the fact that he's got Peter and he's going to put him in prison, and he's probably planning on eventually killing him. So what he does is he guards him with 4 squads made up of 4 soldiers each, and then when he goes to sleep at night, he has to sleep between 2 soldiers, and he is shackled with 2 chains, and there's a massive iron gate, and there are also sentries, so big scary soldiers, guarding that gate as well, so pretty much impossible for him to escape. And obviously God has other ideas, so he sends an angel, and this angel wakes Peter up and basically walks him out of the prison somehow, and the gate kind of opens by itself. Sort of standard God behaviour, really, getting Peter out of this completely impossible situation and saving him. And it's an amazing story, and it's something that I think that we can really take a lot from. I don't know about you, but it's easy to feel completely trapped in all sorts of different situations. It could be like an emotional situation, or like actually being physically trapped. Something, either way, that feeling of being trapped is a really horrible thing, and I think this story really shows us how God wants to make a way for us in those situations where we do feel trapped. And one thing that we read in the story is that the church family were earnestly praying for Peter. So when we do feel trapped, we really should never underestimate the power of prayer and actually asking God to help us. But that's certainly a promise that God makes us, that we're never trapped. We're never in an impossible situation when we look to God. So that's encouraging and uplifting. One thing that's a little bit more difficult about the story for me is, I said at the beginning that James, one of the other Christians, actually died. He got put to death, and he was in a kind of similar situation to Peter, where Herod had arrested him and wanted to make a bit of a scene, like, look at me, I'm killing the Christians, I'm a bit of a hero like that. And James dies. Like, God sends this angel to rescue Peter, but he doesn't for James, and like, that's really difficult. I think that's quite a difficult thing to wrap your head around. Like, why is it that that Peter had his life spared when that didn't happen for James? It's such a difficult question, and I think it's not just something that happened in the Bible. We see that all the time. I know for myself that I've seen the church really pull together and pray for people to be healed, and they have been healed, and it's been amazing. Equally, I've seen the church pull together and pray for healing for some people, and it hasn't happened, and really sadly they've not had their earthly life spared, and that can be such a difficult thing to understand. And actually I think it would be really good to discuss that with everyone later. But I'm not claiming to have all of the answers to that question, but I do think that the Bible does a really good job of trying to lay it out for us. The book of Job is one really good example, which I'd encourage you to read if you're interested in like why bad things happen to good people, because we see in Job like the almost perfect example of a good person, and so much bad stuff happens to him, and he has this like dialogue with God where he basically is like, "What? Why are you doing this to me? I've tried so hard, and all of this terrible stuff happening." And God, like, first of all, honours him for having that discussion with him. He says, "Look, I'm actually really pleased that you've come to me and talked this through with me." And what he does is he tries to kind of explain the situation to Job, and he basically says, "Look, your human mind has not been created to understand the complexities of what I'm doing. Like, I've got this," and God basically invites us to just trust him, to trust him in the knowledge that we're not really capable of understanding why he does what he does, but to just say, actually, God, I know that you've got this, I know that you're in control, and I'm going to take a step back and be okay with not fully understanding this, which is really difficult, especially in today's society when we're so used to wanting to find something out and just Googling it quickly. It's really difficult to actually accept not understanding something. But just like to finally encourage you, one thing that was true for both Peter and James is that even though the outcome of their physical, earthly salvation wasn't the same, their spiritual salvation was absolutely the same. Peter got to live on earth for a bit longer, but both of them were saved in Jesus. Both of them spiritually will live forever, and that ultimately is just, that's such a great encouragement to know that actually doesn't matter what happens to our earthly bodies, you know, it's what comes next that is the be all and end all. It's the fact that we get to have that relationship with Jesus forever, and that is something that is true for everyone who asks it. You might not get physically healed if you ask for it, but spiritually you will always be healed if you ask for it. That's all I have to say.
Higher than the mountains that I face, stronger than the power of the grave, constant in the trial and the change. This one thing remains, this one thing. Gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love. And on and on and on and on it goes. And it overwhelms and satisfies my soul. And I never ever have to be afraid. This one thing remains. This one thing remains. Love never fails, it never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love. Death in life, I'm confident and covered by the power of your great love. My debt is paid, there's nothing that can separate my heart from your great love. Love never fails, it never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, never runs out on me.